It is 7 o'clock. Nope, not yet.
Married bastard, none. Sorry about
So A is
that. I don't know. So,
4 through 6, is that what you said?
Yeah, Dana Carvey, right?
Did you say 4 through 6?
It is 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead. We'll call this meeting to order. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible, and any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. With that, we will call this to order and start with a pledge of allegiance. Mr. Hendricks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do have all members present, and therefore have a quorum. With that, Mrs. Jones, could you state the mission statement?
Lebanon Community School Corporations challenges everyone every day to reach a new best.
Thank you very much. Item number 2 is approval of the minutes for the October 17th regular meeting and the November 8th special session. Those are included in your board packet. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll motion.
Mrs. Jones. Do we have a second?
second.
Mr. Hendricks. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have certified executive content for the October 17th executive session. Do we have a motion to certify the executive content? As noted.
Motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have superintendent's announcements and celebrations.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. We have several celebrations in your packet this evening. One is to congratulate our FFA once again for their great showing at the annual convention. You have several examples of winners in various categories in your background notes this evening, and just wanted to take a moment and congratulate that group of young men and women, as well as their teachers and sponsors, for representing Lebanon and being involved in a very worthwhile group. So some pictures as well that the teachers sent. So hope you enjoy those. Wanted to thank our Perry Worth staff, students, families, and our Meyer Najum construction managers. We had a need to go to e-learning for a couple days since the last board meeting, and their flexibility and patience was very much appreciated, and we obviously continue to communicate with them and have moved on, and they've just been great. So I wanted to give them a thanks. Wanted to share with you in relation to the Perry Worth e-learning days, and if you recall, we also had an e-learning day recently at Central Elementary due to an issue there. We have been in contact with the Department of Education, and while you can never predict 100% certainty, it was definitely a productive conversation in that if we do need to use e-learning days due to inclement weather coming up in the winter months, that they will certainly consider those extraordinary circumstances at those two locations, and perhaps when we make the application, allow us to maintain our number of e-learning days allowable by the state. So just thank them for their flexibility, but also let parents and staff know that we will seek that. I'm hoping that we don't need those inclement weather e-learning days, and we'll have a mild winter, but we'll see what happens on that front. Thank you to Mr. Clauser, Mr. Parks. I know others were obviously busy with work commitments, but for being at the Central groundbreaking and joining us there that day. It was great to see some of the Central staff on site Always great to have the students be the first ones to throw the shovel of dirt, and they were excited to do that. If you drive by the site, you'll see some concrete blocks going up on the gymnasium. So we are underway. The foundations are poured, and work is underway there. So it was a great day to celebrate with the community. I wanted to take a moment to thank, perhaps you've seen it on social media, Lexi did a great job with that, just thanking our staff and students for their Veterans Day celebrations. It's important for us to honor our veterans, and of course those who have served and continuing to serve, and they all did just an outstanding job. So I just wanted to congratulate the schools on their Veterans Day festivities. Also, I have added in your packet some congratulations to our fall athletes. You'll see many of the honors that they had, all conference awards in multiple sports, lots to celebrate there, team awards. But I think at the bottom of that section is something that we should be most proud of, which is the team GPA summary that you'll see. There's some impressive numbers there. At least two of our teams' average GPA is above a 4.0, if you notice in your packet. So we know here, because I think most of us participated in either a co or extracurricular activity when we were in school, and understand the importance of that, learning time management, teamwork, all of the things that make us well-rounded people. And so congratulations to our fall athletes on a job well done as well. And I'm scrolling. Also, congratulations to the cast, crew, and staff of Mamma Mia. What a wonderful,
It was excellent.
Excellent performance. Such a fun. I mean, you get to sing along with ABBA. You get to see the students perform at a professional level. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So congratulations to them on a great show. I had to take in the matinee. We were out of town for this weekend, so I got to see their first run, and it was quite impressive as well. So congratulations again. And the last thing I have is just to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving here this week, and hope you find some time with friends and family to celebrate. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Next, we have informational items. Dr. Millman.
Yes, the first informational item is just a kind of a heads up for the board. We have been very fortunate that Becky Carter has been serving as the board's representative on the Hussey Mayfield Library Board. She just does a great job of giving us communication and updates on what the board is doing. She'll be stepping away in 2024, which I believe is March of 2024, and has given us notice that she'll be stepping away from that as the board's representative. Wanted to thank her for that, and we'll do that again when we get to the appointment of a new person. But just a heads up on the board's part, there are some rules around that where they have to reside. And I believe it's Worth Township, if I'm not mistaken, is where they may have to reside. I'll get the board some more information, but just a heads up to the board, maybe you can start thinking about folks who might be willing to represent us on the library board. So that was the first information item this evening. Second item is just to kind of recap for those that are, well, to be viewing it online tonight, because we have a relatively empty boardroom, as you see this evening, but many do watch us online, that the board did get a presentation from Dr. McKibben from McKibben Demographics. Is an updated enrollment forecast based on the 2020 census, and he provided a very thorough forecast based on a lot of assumptions and data. I just, as a summary, the moves that we are making and the building projects that are underway would indicate, based on his forecast, that we are staying in front of that. His forecast, along with Cropper GIS, who you've also contracted with recently, will be driving our conversation when we talk about enrollment rebalancing here in the next several months. And we know that can be uncomfortable conversations, but it's a necessity in Lebanon to have that conversation. Dr. McKibben indicated growth over the next 10 years, but slow and steady and manageable growth. But that puts us in a good spot, I think, to make some decisions that might last for a period of years. Some districts have to redistrict or rebalance enrollment boundaries more often than others, but that's just based on changes that happen, in the middle of it. So indications were good. I don't know if you have any comments or questions that you'd like to pass on, or observations from that as well, but
I found the housing information like fascinating
yes.
about what kind of housing we have, who have the houses, who don't, who's retiring, who's not, who's leaving. Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and how that impacted the existing
Yes.
homes, getting those, moving those, how that, it's not just about the new home builds, but the what will really see our growth is
Right.
existing homes being sold.
I think that part gets lost sometimes because folks see rooftops being built and under construction and may see that as a straight line to student enrollment. And what Dr. McKibben pointed out is what you need is existing homes to turn over.
Yeah.
And we're a destination for a lot of folks, and they stay in their homes for many years after their youngest child graduates high school. And therefore, those homes don't turn over as quickly. And that's exactly right. And it gets kind of gets lost in this conversation. So thanks to the board for contracting with him for that most recent forecast. And I believe the appetite of the board is to do these annually, at least for a period of time here, because we do know that there's some changes that Dr. McKibben may not have on his board this year.
Yep.
That he may in 12 months. So I think it's smart for us to continue to have that conversation.
Yeah, and I also found the interesting that there's going to be like certain, what he called the cohorts, certain age groups that are going to be a large throughout the 12 years,
Yes.
starting in elementary. So we're just going to have to be flexible within the buildings,
Right.
so that then changing the number of classes size or classes in each grade.
Yes.
Work as those platoons of cohorts
Right.
work through. Yeah.
It can affect class sizes. You're not going to rebalance your enrollment for one bubble.
Correct.
Large class moving through one school,
Yeah.
to your point. So that's another piece of this puzzle that sometimes gets lost.
Yeah.
The full demographic study / enrollment forecast is already linked in the agenda, the online agenda. So anyone in the public can view that presentation that the board viewed on your work session. It will also be linked in the minutes of this meeting. And Lexi Britt Buis has also linked it in our construction page on our website. So as folks want to learn more about what that forecast says, it is fully accessible to the public as we speak. So they can click on that and see what Dr. McKibben shared with the board. Excellent. All right. I think the next one's
Yep.
for Mr.
Next is for Mr. Dennis, discussion of furniture removal services.
Thank you, Mr. Parks, and good evening, everyone. I think I'm going to roll together really C and D here. We're going to talk about our furniture purchase that I'll bring for the board's consideration when we get to the action items for this evening. That will be another cooperative purchase. So much like the playgrounds last month, we'll have the approval of some POs for some furniture purchases, and then that of course begs the question, how do we dispose of our existing furniture? And we'll have a discussion about some options that we have for that, and ultimately action that I would bring in front of the board at the December meeting as well. So kind of go through how we got here. Slide 2 and 3 got mixed up, so let's go to slide 3, which is actually supposed to be slide 2. But just as a reminder of our timeline for furniture here, back during the September working session, I brought 2 different companies to the board to present kind of their bailiwick or their niche within the furniture market within the K-12 arena. That would be K.I. Kruger International and then PD, Purposeful Design, both located here in the Indianapolis metropolitan area. And they originally gave us a budget of about $2.1 million to outfit Harney, Perryworth, and Central Elementary with new furniture. Moving beyond that, on October 2nd, all 4 elementary principals met with Dr. Millen and myself at KI's location up in Noblesville. And they have a little suite there where, gallery really I would call it, of all the different options. And the principals talked through what's best for our students and for our staff here at Lebanon. Purposeful Design was kind enough to also meet us there, as they have really been a great partnership through all of this, and we were able to talk through our wants and our needs really from a furniture perspective. They took that information for exactly a month and came back to us on November 2nd, met us here on site here at our office, and each principal met with them individually for the better part of an hour to literally go through room by room, and literal decisions were made about taking a chair away or a different type of chair or a different type of table. Do you want casters on those tables? Do you rather just have levelers instead of casters? So that amount of detail allowed them to finalize a quote for us that I'm going to be bringing to the board for action later on this evening. There was one final item to cover, and that was the type of underdesk storage that we could utilize. They had two different options: a metal wire that was very open and airy, I will say, and I can understand how pencils and whatnot in no way could be kept in that. They would just fall right through the holes in the mesh. And then there is a robust plastic bin that obviously would hold pencils and things of that nature, and they toured the district. So KI left us with an example of each one of those desks that John Triller, and thank him for his work in moving these throughout the district all of last week. Spent time at Central, then Harney, then Stokes, and then finally Perry Worth on Thursday. And thank you to Lexi for putting together a survey, and our teachers were able to vote, and there was a resounding winner, I will say, and that is the plastic bin underneath the desks. And so with that, we arrived at a final budget amount, and I'm pleased to say it came in about $32,000 under budget, and due to the teachers selecting the plastic bin as opposed to the metal bin, they're going to update our quote. I asked them to price the more expensive option to show the board this evening. However, the plastic bin, due to the materials not being metal, of course, will save us about $10,000 overall. So about $40,000 under budget based on the original estimate of what Susan Benford had predicted for us, and so that is of course good news. And so what I'll get into now is just a really quick visual example of the typical furniture that we have selected. As a reminder, our first vendor of course is KI. All of the work that they've done in the K-16 arena is on the screen there, and of course many more examples of that, I'm sure, if we would have asked them. But we will get a 15-year warranty on all of their furniture. If anything breaks whatsoever, they fix it or replace it for 15 years, and that of course is a good lifetime span for K-12 furniture. KI's expertise really comes to show here with the phases in which these furniture items are going to be delivered to our schools. And Mr. Martin, if you could help me out here, I appreciate maybe placing Perry Worth on the easel here for the board to see as I continue through with KI. So examples of what we selected and what will appear in all schools, starting with the cafeterias, are this particular piece of furniture, and it kind of looks like a half table with bench, and the different configurations that can take on are shown in the picture there. Obviously they can fold away for storage, they can become benches for presentations or items like that, or they can be paired together to form a table with a bench. But this is what the principals chose. I believe three of our schools in fact have this already. Perry Worth Central and Stokes, I believe, have this type of product in a much older variety. Typical classroom furniture will appear there. We're getting 3 different heights of chairs. We have their smallest chair, 13-inch height for our kindergarten kiddos, and we have a 15-inch height estimated to serve our first and second grade kiddos, and then the next size up for 3rd through 5th. The beautiful part about this is, regardless of the height, they're all the same color and material. So should we have a smaller kiddo or a larger kiddo in a specific classroom, this would then be interchangeable to service those children. The desks that we chose, you'd have to look closely. I think it's probably most easily visualized on the green in the upper left hand. They're all adjustable, so we can adjust these up or down, but they are universal in a sense that our kiddos 1st through 5th grade will have the same desk. The height will just adjust from year to year, and of course the chair that we choose as well. Additionally, we are purchasing a limited amount of ADA accessible desks for our students that have those needs. And there will be a specific amount of those placed at each of the schools, once again, all identical in color, so we could move those from school to school. If we have a student in a wheelchair, we don't have to get a folding table or something like that, that it would be in any way different for those students. They have desks that are, accessible to their needs. I put that middle picture there because while our custodians may not love the decisions we made to put carpet in the classrooms due to the sweeping and whatnot, hopefully our teachers can instill a culture of putting our chairs up at the end of the day to at least make it easy for the custodians to sweep the classrooms on a given night. Other instructional furniture that will appear in the classroom are what they call kidney tables. A lot of our teachers have these already, but you can see how the students would sit around the table in a small group environment with the teacher. Teacher will have 2 chairs in the classroom. You're seeing one that will live at the kidney table, and then they'll have a desk chair as well. And then if you can focus on what the children are sitting on in the upper left-hand picture, those are called their ricochet stools, and those have a concave bottom, and so the students can get their wiggles out, as I've learned our elementary staff call it, and they can kind of wobble around on those chairs and kind of interact in that way. We do have a smattering of those stools at different schools in the district, but each classroom will have them now. I asked KI to put a rendering together of what a typical first grade through 5th grade classroom will look like for us. A very modest teacher desk that's very similar to what our teachers have right now, and you can see the chair that they will receive is different from the one that would be at the kidney table. Each teacher will get a movable podium, which I've been told is, they really like the podium. That moves throughout the room. They can keep their materials on that. Notice how the desks can nest together in a table. We know education happens in a collaborative environment now, and maybe not the rows and that we were used to growing up, but should we want to arrange the desks in any way, these certainly nest together in different orientations. And then, like I said, the kidney table with the ruckus stools will appear there. The only change for the kindergarten classrooms, you can see the seating. Kindergarten is a much more interactive environment, and so rather than the desks that you see, they will be they call these clover desks, where the students will sit together in groups of 4 and interact with one another, as we know is so crucial for that age and development. Lastly, our other partner, Purposeful Design, will really specialize in solid surface tables. We'll get maple top tables. Ash was going to be the original choice, but I have learned that ash is going away due to the ash borer, and so we've got a beautiful maple top. I'll show you an example of what that'll look like for us. It'll be a similar color, but they're ash in the example photo, but we will get maple, and then the legs are just solid steel. So these are robust. Should the tops ever become gouged or the finish be compromised in any way, Purposeful Design will come and pick these up, take them back to their location in downtown Indianapolis, sand them down, and refinish them for us. Extensive list of customers, both in the private industry with Lilly and Salesforce, and then quite a number of local K-12 partners here. But this is what a typical office will look like for our administrators. So kind of a U-shaped table, and you can see there the solid steel legs, the maple top. Again, that's an ash top there, but same colors. It's going to be a natural finish. We're just going to put a clear coat over the top of it and let the maple do its thing. You can see, I don't want to call them floating shelves because you can see the brackets, but they'll have shelving there. And then this is really a great example of where KI and PD have worked together. So KI is providing a modesty panel for these tables for our principals, which is just a piece of metal on the other side of the table, so someone can sit across from the principal in that regard. And then KI is also providing the little file cabinets you'll see underneath there. We call them pedestals. Also, and I don't have a picture of this, but all of our large conference tables in the admin suite will be Purposeful Design products as well, essentially exactly what you're looking at right there, but just a bigger conference table. And then finally, where our kids will get to interact with this product is in the media center. And in the media center, these tables will be placed on casters, so they can be easily rolled by one. I mean, these are heavy. These are solid wood and steel, but on casters, they'll be able to be rolled in any configuration that the media specialist may want, and we can really arrange our libraries to work, whereas right now, our tables and chairs are kind of fixed. So Purposeful Design does not do chairs, so KI, again, being a partner, will provide the seating for both our admin offices, conference spaces, and the media center. So I wanted to give the board an overview of what I'm going to ask for permission to purchase this evening. Earlier this evening, we were able to tour Perry Worth, and the question came about, well, how do we get rid of all this furniture? KI, I mentioned, is very skilled in their ability to handle phased projects. And so what KI has done for us is you're looking at Perry Worth, and each color you see is a portion of that building that will come online at a specific time. And as many colors you see, that is as many times a particular area gets turned over. So what that means then is, for example, the green at the top and to the left, those are the new additions. There's obviously no furniture to remove from those new additions, but say we move into the building, and we will in winter break of this year, in the orange area down at the bottom, or really pick any other color. When that comes back online, that furniture has to be gone to begin the renovation there. And then 6 months later, the furniture that will live there forever has to land. So we aren't going in and removing all the furniture from Perry Worth at once. We're removing a small bit, renovating, dropping new furniture. A spring break comes up or a fall break comes up, and we take another block of rooms off. That furniture has to go, and then it gets renovated, and new furniture has to be dropped, and it has to be dropped within a week. Fall break happens in a week. KI can't be late. It has to be here. You've got a week. It's what they do. And in order to coordinate the removal of this furniture, in December, I've invited a company by the name of Relocation Strategies to come and present to the board. And I want to kind of prep the board for that this evening. And you'll see the quote that she's already prepared for me. And you'll notice that she is offering her services for just under $30,000 to coordinate the removal of all this furniture. What that means is she has already come to our building and taken a picture of all of our furniture. And she has spent her entire career in furniture, and she knows by the look of our furniture if folks would be interested in that. We don't want this to end up in a landfill. We want this to end up in the hands of folks that can utilize it. I do not believe this furniture has cash value at this point. It is so old that I think it would be prohibitive, whereas people may accept it as a donation or accept it for free. I think that exact same person would not be interested if they in any way had to purchase this. But nonetheless, we would hate to see this end up in a landfill. Realistically, I don't know that we can say none of this will end up in a landfill, but what her preferences are is we want to find other educational institutions that could benefit from this furniture, first of all. Second, there are missions sometimes, including overseas. She has shipped furniture overseas where they're starting schools overseas, and they'll take this furniture. And obviously there's some cost of that would not be incurred by LCSC, but the eventual owner of that furniture, shipping things across seas is difficult. But nonetheless, she's done that. She says it's not common. And then as a last option, we could see, well, I should say the second to last option, she may find an auction house that would be interested in this. Again, I don't know how likely that is. This furniture is old and a lot of times doesn't match, but nonetheless, we won't leave that off the table. We then would see, I guess, some revenue from that, but an auction house would have to express interest. We would certainly not send something to an auction house in the hopes that the right bidder was there that day, because we have costs to get it there. Auction houses don't come pick things up. We have to drop it off. There are costs associated with that. And then finally, the very last option would be if we can't find anyone to take it, the landfill is where our furniture would end up. So there's a lot of connections that she has that no one at LCSC does. I could understand how seeing $30,000 for a service like this may seem like a bit of sticker shock, but for the amount of time and phone calls and coordination that this takes, I would recommend to the board that this is money well spent. But again, I wanted to have that conversation initially tonight, or at least provide that primer initially tonight. She's going to come in December, certainly outline all of the governmental institutions, because City of Indianapolis utilizes her, other K-12 institutions as well. So I didn't want to present that to the board and just say this is what I would recommend, and could we get approval tonight. I think it would be good to hear from her and have her understand, who these connections are, or what her plans for our furniture may be, or if she sees value in our furniture from an auction house. But nonetheless, she has committed to the December 19th board meeting, and will be here to speak to the board then. So Again, apologize for a longer informational item, but really two things wrapped up in this. Again, a request to issue these POs to KI and PD in action this evening, and then a primer for how do we get rid of this furniture at the right time, just what we need to get rid of, so we have space to renovate and for the new furniture to come online. It's really threading a needle. Multiple moving parts for sure. So an example of Perryworth is here. We have Harney as well, and that's what we can't lose in all of this. There's a green section of Perryworth. There's also a green section of Harney. So it's one thing to say all of the phases that are happening at Perryworth. There are identical phases happening at Harney. For example, our gymnasium is going to be coming online, but the very first thing that will be coming online in this entire project will be the administrative suite at Harney, and that's where we need PD and KI together. And so we've got to get rid of all of our old admin furniture that's in the temporary admin
Temporary
office.
offices, yep.
But like there's green, there's blue, there's orange at both schools. So Julie then would be responsible for coordinating. When it's time to get rid of it, it's time to get rid of it at both schools, and then knowing what to do and when to do it. So I think it's an invaluable service, but again, we'll bring that for the board's consideration in December. So happy to answer any questions about all things furniture this evening.
What would be the other option beyond that service? Just out of curiosity.
Myself finding a spot for all of
We'd
this.
get you a burner phone to handle all the phone calls for.
And then our maintenance staff shuffling it around everywhere, right?
Right, and it's just landfill, I'm assuming at that point, just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, there's not.
Yes, I'm not personally on Lebanon Chatter, but I suppose someone could put, I joke, I know, but other than posting things on Facebook, I wouldn't know how to get rid of this furniture or find a landing spot for it other than the landfill. Again, I know there's folks out there that need it. I know Julie knows who those folks may be. Whether or not they can take it or have a need, I don't know. What I know is I would only know where to take it, which would be a landfill.
And we do not have a storage facility to take all the furniture. I mean, because that's the one thing that is great about these projects too. We're not just renovating the buildings. Everything, all the fixtures, including the desks, everything is going to be new. So then we would have to rent a place, I guess, to try to store all this surplus
Right,
desks and everything that could
and I-
end up in a landfill anyway, right?
Yeah, and
So-
I'm just effectively wanting to make sure that, obviously your time is not,
talking about that,
we
right.
don't pay you to coordinate those sorts of things either. So, I mean, I just want to
And
make
I've
sure
even
it's clear
thought-
that
Yes.
the next guy in line is going to be someone who's,
I've brainstormed who to even delegate this to on the staff. I mean, whether it's
Right.
Our operations staff, who, again, this is not their forte. I mean, it's a very, I mean, getting rid of furniture, if you don't just want to throw it away, is kind of a specialized set of knowledge and skills, I think, I mean, and connections.
We had one elementary school desk at our home one time that we had gotten from somebody. Trying to get anybody to take it was like,
Right.
it
Been there.
was hard. So
And-
I couldn't
and
imagine.
to your point about,
roomfuls.
the staff, a lot of these very precise timing that has to take place could be at critical moments where our maintenance staff is needed in the depths of winter,
Yeah.
right? So now you're leveraging your resources that are plowing our snow, they're taking care of our buildings, making sure the heating and cooling is working, because we only have so many people on our crew. And it has to be a precise timing, right? So
Right.
if we have a snowstorm, we need to get buses in and out of the parking lot, and KI is bringing 2 semi-loads of furniture on Monday. And so we can't afford to be behind that kind of 8 ball in the process.
So she would not have anything to do with the new furniture coming in, though. She's just the old furniture out.
She's the old furniture out.
Okay.
And that number she provided is a not to exceed number. She's estimating that the most it could be. And, for clarity, if we have to, we still may have to find hire movers, for example, to move this away. So that is her fee. She's unable to estimate how much additional labor we may need to move it out. The goal is to find someone who's willing to come to us. We want that furniture, and we will come to you and take. That's the goal. And so there's really, it's difficult to estimate how how this, will shake out because of the many options there are for where this furniture, any or all of it could end up.
And that fee is for Harney, Perryworth.
Just those two schools, because Central's just all coming, there's
Right.
nothing to get rid of.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to hearing more from her next month.
Excellent. Is that then the school construction renovation update as well?
Yes.
Kind of rolled into that.
That's the extent,
Yeah.
yes. So I think we're ready to move on to the consent agenda.
All right. Now we do have consent agenda, staff matters, classified, certified, and ECA. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. This evening, under classified staff, I'm asking for approval of new hires 323 through 335, resignations 336 through 339, and terminations 340 through 342. Under our certified staff this evening, retirement number 93 and new hire number 94. Under ECA, new hires, this would be mostly our, if not all, well, mostly I should say, athletics for our upcoming winter seasons. New hires 283 through 292. Returning hires 293 through 308. And volunteer positions 309 through 320, and 2 resignations 321 and 322.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept these as noted in staff matters classified, certified, and ECA staff?
So moved. Oh,
I'll
sorry.
abstain just because I'm a volunteer.
Okay.
even though it's not a
Yeah,
paid
Mr.
position.
Hendricks,
I'm
correct.
abstaining.
Will abstain.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we did have a motion?
I will move.
Mr. Clauser?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison? We have a motion and second. Any additional comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have business matters. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Before we get into the financial update, as usual, I do have a few items of an informational nature. First of all, no change orders to approve this month. I will say we will have some change orders coming in the coming months. We had a contractor error at Perryworth, and that caused some additional scope for the other contractors as a result of that. And it may seem like that the contractor at fault should directly pay the other contractors, but that's not how we want to do that. Should that bill never get paid, keep in mind a normal part of the construction process, liens are placed, contractors' liens are placed on our buildings, and should that payment never get made, that lien doesn't get replaced on our building. So the way we handle this then is the contractor at fault credits us on their contract all of the damages that the other contractors will be billing us. So it's a net, it's no damage to us whatsoever, but it can be misconstrued a little bit, well, it was their fault, why aren't they just paying for it? It's not that we wouldn't trust them to pay for it, it's just this is standard practice in the industry that they will just credit us on their contract, and then the other contractors will increase their value. So we'll have a conversation about allowances versus contingency in December. In the December meeting, we'll have Meyer Najum come as our transportation facility will be bid at that point, and we have some thoughts about how we want to handle allowances that contractors hold, and whether we want to do that or whether we want to have owner-held contingency. So we'll have more conversation at the meeting in December with Meyer Najum on that. The second informational item I have is simply a memo to the board summarizing our TAG award. So as you'll recall, the state of Indiana provides revenue to school corporations in November of every year, teacher appreciation grant. We were awarded $131,114.56 this year. That amount of revenue must be distributed to teachers within 20 business days of receipt. We have just received a notification of our amount. We have not received the funds yet, so this will happen in the second pay in December. By statute, there must be a different award for teachers rated as highly effective and teachers rated as effective. That must be a 25% difference. Teachers must have a evaluation with LCSC last year to receive this stipend. So in general, that would mean teachers at least need to arrive as of January 1 in the calendar year to receive the Teacher Appreciation Grant in a given year. Again, this policy was approved many months ago by the board, purely an informational item, as we have received that information from the state. However, the bottom of this is a new item, and traditionally, to coincide with the Teacher Appreciation Grant, LCSC has given stipends to all other employees in the month of December, as I guess you could think of it as a bonus. The method for determining the value of that stipend has been different in some years. Most recently, it's been 2% of the gross wages earned by the employee from January 1st until the end of November, and there's no report in our financial software that calculates that. So Melissa has to pull all of that data and then hand calculate that. It's cumbersome. It's obviously doable. We've done it in the past. I'm proposing to the board a new way of doing that is simply a function of the amount of the Teacher's Appreciation Grant. And the different categories are outlined there in the bullet points. The max that anyone would receive would be the lower amount of the TAG grant. So our highly effective teachers would be receiving the highest amount in this December payment. Those are laid out. I'll ask for the board's approval for this in December. It's new for us, so I wanted to provide you with the information so that you could look over it and ask any questions that you may have in the December meeting. But the reason that we bring this to the board is while the TAG grant is really a hold harmless to LCSC, it's revenue, it's extra revenue that the state gives us that we then pass along to the teachers. What is always the case with the stipend that we provide to all other staff comes from our cash balance. It's why we need the board to approve it. And so the total amount that I would be requesting is at the very end of that memo. So providing this stipend would be a total amount of $114,975.61. And just like teachers would need to have been here on January 1st to receive the TAG grant, I'm proposing that the eligibility for the stipend for remaining staff is identical. They are an employee as of or before January 1st of 2023, and they remained continuous employment for us, less, of course, school breaks throughout the entire school year. So the second sheet is a spreadsheet that summarizes basically the entire stipend that I am proposing. So at the bottom would be the teachers, the top three would be all other staff with administrators at the bottom. The number in blue is the revenue that the state provides. The number in green at the very bottom is the additional revenue from our cash balance that I'm requesting to use. And the total cost of both stipends, of course, is summarized just above that, the $246,000 number. So a bit of a different way to do stipends that's quite frankly just more efficient and in line with the lower amount of the Teacher Appreciation Grant. So happy to answer any questions on that now, or of course happy to talk about that in December as well when I present that for action.
Excellent.
Okay, should there be no other questions, we'll get on with the financial update as usual. Again, as always, happy to answer any questions regarding how we performed this month. Otherwise, I will read the claims and request approval for those. Questions regarding the month of October?
Nope.
Okay,
Hearing none.
hearing none, we'll go ahead and read the claims. Okay, so claims for the month, $8,310,867.48. Two payrolls for $2,342,167.48. Total amount requesting approval, $10,653,034.96.
He's been practicing.
Doing better.
Do we have a motion to approve the claims for claims and payrolls for October and November? Mrs. Jones. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clausen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, any comment from the public? Seeing none. We'll move on to action items. Dr. Millman.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. This evening, I'm pleased to bring recommendations to the board for administrators' compensation for this school year. We ratified the teacher's contract last board meeting, and pleased to bring these recommendations to the board. We worked on a model whereby we're placing administrators on a point on a salary range that we've developed for each administrative position. So therefore, there's a unique dollar amount for each administrators. It's not based on a flat percentage increase for all administrators. In addition to the base salary increase, we are also recommending that our administrators receive one-time stipend that was outlined by Mr. Dennis in his previous presentation and information item, which would be, as he pointed out, based on the effective teacher stipend. Again, highly effective teachers being the highest award on that one-time stipend. To give the board a little context to this compensation increase, this recommendation is 8.4% higher in dollars, the actual dollar amount, than we brought to the board last year for 22-23 for our administrators, resulting in an average increase of 4.38% if you average those dollar amounts across the administrators. This compares to the teacher contract that you recently approved. The teacher contract for 23-24 brought 79.1% more dollars to compensation than the 22-23 contract. And the average teacher raise across all positions was 8.94%. So it gives you a bit of a comparison as to the dollar amounts, total dollar amount increase, as well as what a percentage would look like across the positions. So happy to answer any questions you may have. There are additional background notes, of course. I'll provide some more detail to you this evening.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the administrative salary recommendation as provided to us? Mrs. Hutchison. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No, I appreciate all the work you've done. I know we set you a task a couple times, going back and as we
Enjoy it.
discussed this, and we appreciate the
Yep.
work.
Good conversation. Thank
Well,
you.
and we should say it's still based on, performance reviews. It's
Yes.
not just an automatic.
Absolutely. Yep. Same criteria, satisfactory evaluation, et cetera, to qualify for it. Difference is that it's not a master teacher contract that binds the board to that. When you ratify that contract, teachers receiving an effective rating or higher will receive the raises. Administrators are not under that contract, so the board does not lose flexibility from year to year when it comes to administrative compensation. So thank you, yes.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a request for approval of ABC Prep Academy MOU.
Yes, for the board this evening is a memorandum of understanding with ABC Construction Prep Academy. As we came back from our tour of Perry Worth this evening, we passed by the newly renovated Gaylor Electric Building on Indianapolis Avenue. They've also purchased the buildings behind them, the former REMC building, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's one of the big garages behind that space is where ABC Academy will be held. We are moving to shift our construction trades programs to ABC Academy. Students attending there can begin their junior year and will be able to earn at least up to a level 2 apprenticeship when they exit as a senior, which is, and Mr. Parks is nodding, and in the world of construction carries with it dollars and cents, puts them on a different trajectory out of the gate. Also will earn our students Vincennes credit, Vincennes University credit, which are transferable credits, and gets them on the path to any other additional credentialing through Ivy Tech or Vincennes. Students kind of come in as a survey, if you will, to the construction trades on the early semester or semesters of it, but then can move to areas that they may find of interest. They might find concrete or HVAC or plumbing or framing or metal work or welding to be what they gravitate toward, and then that would motivate them to earn those apprenticeship levels and credits within that specialized trade, which makes them very marketable as they either exit high school or move on to the next stage. So asking this evening approval with our relationship with ABC Academy. We do receive dollars, federal dollars, through the state for students who enroll in CTE programming, that whether it be business, agriculture, construction trades, et cetera. The funds would be utilized to help pay for the services at ABC Academy. So that would funnel through there. And then I would also ask Mr. Parks, just to ask ahead of time, that we would ask Mr. Meyer, the principal, to be able to sign on the board's behalf when we consider approval of this arrangement. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do we know how many students this may be applicable for?
Yeah, we have
Maybe-
approximately 30 students right now in our construction trades, so we don't look for that to dip much over time. I think this will provide students with some additional opportunities that we're currently able to offer the students. So I think we'll still see a robust enrollment in this program. So happy to be able to provide them this opportunity.
Excellent to see, right in our backyard, right?
Right in our backyard.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And the reason I mentioned Gaylor is ABC is connected to Gaylor Electric. This was a commitment through that company to grow the workforce, and they've invested heavily in it to make this happen.
So do we have a motion to approve ABC, the MOU with ABC Prep Academy, and provide Mr. Meyer authority to sign on our behalf?
So moved.
Mr. Clauser, do you have a second? Mrs. Jones. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of Lebanon Western Boone Joint Services Agreement.
Yes, you had approved kind of the dissolution agreement recently with the current joint services. This is now the agreement before the board to form the Lebanon Western Boone Joint Services to begin with the 24-25 school year. This agreement mirrors in many ways the arrangement when Northwest Hendricks withdrew from our current joint services. We had to reconstitute as a new joint services without them. So without reinventing the wheel, CCHA Law, which is the firm that services the current joint services, worked with us in providing the template. Then we worked with Mr. Franzen, the board's attorney, who happens to also be Western Boone's school board's attorney. So he vetted it and made some changes. We worked with Western Boone administration on it. So this has been reviewed by 2 law firms, as well as the 2 superintendents and the 2 CFOs of each of the school districts. If the board is pleased and does approve this evening, I will be sending correspondence to our special education staff, parents, et cetera, who have questions. Anytime something like this happens where one dissolves, one reforms, there's always questions and a little bit of anxiety around that. We certainly wanted to get through the approval process before we did that. And I'll bring more information to the board as well. Upon approval of this, we'll be posting a position for our new joint services director. And so that'll post tomorrow, should the board approve this evening as well, and then I'll give the board updates as you would need them. But we will be communicating with our special education community here in Lebanon about what this means and doesn't mean. Essentially, most of the special education staff are already Lebanon school employees, and so there'll be no effect whatsoever on special education instructional assistants, teachers, speech language pathologists, et cetera, but they just need to hear that from the superintendent, I think. So we'll be sending out some correspondence about that. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the joint services, the Lebanon Western Boone Joint Services Agreement as provided? Mrs. Hutchinson? Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks? A motion and a second. Any additional comments, questions, discussion? Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have second reading and policy updates.
Yes, you have the list of policies there in your packet this evening. I did not receive any suggestions for changes or modifications from the last meeting, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. These have been posted on the minutes in our past minutes and on the website as well, available, if they not?
What, the
After the
policies?
first, yeah.
Yes, the first reading, the list of policies. the
Policies
first
was,
reading, yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So do we have a motion to adopt the policy updates as provided? Mr. Jones, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Butler. A motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of LHS greenhouse repair. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Rough year for us with weather. As you recall, back in the spring, had storm blow the roof off of Stokes, and then had one come through over the summer and damage the articulating roof at our greenhouse. We have been feverishly searching for quotes to repair the greenhouse, as that's an important asset to us in our agriculture program. Come to find out, there are no companies that perform this type of repair in the state of Indiana. Furthermore, the companies that do perform it, and we had reached out to companies as far as the Dakotas and as well as the Carolinas to do this. Neither of them were interested. So we did actually get 2 quotes from companies for this, and I bring to you tonight what was always the lower, but the other company withdrew their quote. So this is the only quote to repair the greenhouse. You see LLK Greenhouse Solutions out of Strongsville, Ohio, will come to perform this work. And this is, of course, covered under our property and casualty insurance, less our $10,000 deductible. So just getting the board's approval of the quote to repair the greenhouse at the high school this evening. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve this quote from LLK Greenhouse Solutions?
All motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second? Mrs. Jones. Motion and second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Anybody want to start a greenhouse repair?
Repair, yeah.
Maybe. We should consider that.
Building and trade, talk about that.
There you go.
There you go. Could be their first project.
Next is approval of POs for elementary furniture.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Following up on our informational item from earlier, just requesting the board's approval to issue quotes utilizing our cooperative purchasing policy that we have here. Both members, or both vendors, I should say, are members of CISC, and therefore, since we are a member, we qualify for a discount, hence the utilization of these 2 particular vendors. In the board background notes, you will see all of the information related to our cooperative purchasing policy on the OneDrive, the bid that they submitted, all of the items that our policy requires that I provide when I bring an item such as this to the board. Furthermore, you just have the summary sheet of each of the 2 vendors' quotes. You will find an itemized list of every single item that we will be purchasing that totals these numbers from, or in your background notes, I should say. Keep in mind, we do anticipate KI's number lowering by about $10,000 due to the selection of the plastic bin as opposed to the metal bin. So at this time, requesting the board's approval to issue POs to these companies as they require them to deliver these specialized furniture orders in the phased manner that they need to do so. So asking for the entire amount tonight, although POs will be issued on an as-needed basis as each phase is on the horizon. So asking for the full amount tonight, so we bring this to the board one time.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the POs for the elementary furniture?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Cloud. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. Do we have any comments, questions?
Thanks for all your work on that.
Yeah. Lots of new furniture. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is request approval for farm rental agreement with Will Hoyt.
Yes, annual item here, bringing to the board. Our northern 60 acres is cash rented to Mr. Alan Wilhoit. The dollar amount for this has always been, Purdue puts out a report every year on what cash rent of tillable acreage in Indiana is based on the region of Indiana. We're in the central region of Indiana, and they rank the ground as highly valuable, moderately valuable, and low value. Our agreement has always been the moderate amount, which is the $275 per acre this year for the 59.6 tillable acres. So again, annual item bringing to the board, offering cash rent of our northern approximate 60 acres there just north of the softball field to Mr. Alan Wilhoit, as we always do.
So do we have a motion to approve the farm rental agreement with Will Hoyt Grain Company? Do we have a second? Mr. Jones. A motion second. Any questions?
Was there an Indiana report, or was that just a Purdue report?
I think that's only a Boilermaker report. I don't know.
Understood.
I don't know if they farm in Bloomington.
Understood.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We all know the Purdue one's better anyway, right? Next, approval of drug screening agreement with ITI for Lebanon Middle School.
You have an agreement in your background notes with ITI, same company that is doing the high school drug screening for us. This company has come about as our agreement was necessary after Witham stopped doing this, if you remember. So this happens to be the same agreement. We're not at this point expecting to do random drug screening at the middle school level, but we do have some occasion to need to do impairment testing. Rather than having the high school nurse have to leave and go perform that, we are needing an agreement with the middle school for facilitating the training for the administration and the nurse at that building.
All right. So Witham no longer provides this service, is that correct?
That's correct for our use. They still have some involvement with the occupational side, but they do not do what we were having serviced through their drug screening.
And we are not paying for that, it's not,
We do get charged for those screens, but only per use, not an overall agreement, and this is also not an exclusive contract. It just locks in the pricing that they'll charge us and the pricing and agreement for training.
okay. Do we have a motion to approve this drug screening agreement with ITI for Lebanon Middle School? Mr. Hutchison, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cloud. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That is the last action item. Just to note to everybody, upcoming board meetings. Next regular board meeting is December 19th, here in the same location. We have winter break coming up already, December 22nd through January 5th. And then some days off in January as well, January 8th and 15th for professional development and Martin Luther King